What's up, cows? It's your favorite Fox, back at it again with another React Andy. This time round, we're reacting to Bladed Angel. You made a video about the bad parenting epidemic, which probably just means just going over a bunch of terrible parenting skills, and also parents openly expressing that they have terrible parenting skills with no shame. And they're ruining their children and turning their children into man babies or bitches. Let's just jump into it. Let's see what's going on.
Guys, parents are getting worse than ever, and it's not even funny. We're way beyond just iPad kids, Cocomelon, or even gentle parenting. Whether it's complaining about lifeguards saving your kid from drowning because how dare they touch your kid, to whining about why your kids can't go outside during.
That's a real new. You know, I'm actually not that surprised now that I think about it. That's really not crazy. I think a lot of it comes down to is that these people that have like the kids and they complain about a lifeguard saving their child, they're just there for the money. Like, sure, they're kind of happy their kid's alive, but at the same time, no, they're probably just trying to suck money out of the guy who saved the kid in any way, shape, or form, because they live such sad and pathetic lives, and they probably also don't love their children.
An active SWAT operation, or even telling the doctor to stop diagnosing your kid since it's your kid, and how dare you tell them what's best.
Okay, then why you bring your son to a doctor then? Is it because it's legally mandated? I don't remember the last time like you actually have to take your kid to the doctors unless, well, actually, no, it is kind of mandated, because if you don't take your kid to the doctor and they get gameted from a sickness, and, you know, obviously there ain't no medical records that you took them to a doctor to see if you could help them, yeah, you'd go to prison for that, but... So I guess the way to get around it is then to take the kid to the doctors and complain that the doctor's just wrong and they don't know what they're doing. Yes, I'm sure the guy that's gone to, like, college for 4 years, studying this a very specific thing, studying very specifically the human body and the sicknesses and all the different symptoms that can come with it. Yeah, I'm sure they know less than you, the mom that has Google.
For their kid. Bad parents are evolving into narcissistic and selfish jerks more and more by the day. You guys voted for this topic, and subscribe and leave comments to be part of the future videos. Anyways, I will preface that this video is not hating on the idea of parenthood or wanting kids. Please have kids if you are ready for them and will properly love them. Trust me, our replacement demographics are going to need it. Having said that,
yeah. I mean, if people really don't want kids, I mean, okay, good riddance. Oh no, guys, the people that don't want to have kids, they aren't going to ever have kids. Oh, so sad, so terrible. Okay, that just means that I get to make more children, and I get to have my kids in the same school, and then they're probably in the same class with each other. And they're going to have, like, good chemistry and help each other out. Because, you know, as soon as they come home, they're going to have, like, the same homework, so I'm going to be able to help them equally. Yeah. And then in comparison, actually, one thing I heard recently is that some people are planning to have kids above the age of 35. Don't do that. You're basically asking your kid to have autism, ADHD, or Down syndrome. Your sperm, male sperm, and then women eggs. Yeah, the eggs and the sperm, it drastically goes down in quality after the age of 35. I'm not even gonna like look into it. I'm not even gonna show it. Literally just ask any single AI and they will all tell you the exact same thing. It's something so true, there's no need to even prove it right now.
We're going to be diving into quite a messy topic, so let's start with the simpler things first. Chapter 1, Permissive Parenting. Gentle parenting doesn't mean what the internet has assigned it to mean. Having said that, for the sake of this video, we're going to be looking at a lot of clips that still subtitle or caption it as gentle parenting. But just know there's a difference. Basically, gentle parenting still allows discipline, they just don't believe in physical discipline.
Can I tell y'all a story? I'm literally afraid of my child. I honestly cannot get him to stop.
Hey, I just remember watching this video. Doesn't Tectone just talk about this guy? Or was this Casey Simpson? I can't remember. You know, like, whoever I watch that react Andy's to this guy, they kind of blend together at this point.
Obviously, the gentle no is not working.
I feel like I watch way more people that react Andy to stuff than I do the original videos at this point.
We're that couple who at restaurants people stare at and shake their heads. We don't know what we did wrong.
Shut your big mouth, I hate you.
I'm concerned our gentle parenting has backfired and perhaps...
Alright, here's a good way to become a decent parent. Even if you hate reading, watch Super Nanny. If you hate reading, you don't even know how to read, just watch Super Nanny. It ain't that deep. There's that that thing has what, 7 seasons, and they've gone through like every single different like child that could ever exist with any form of like handicap, disability, mental disability, or even just like being a bit more unruly in comparison to other kids. It's gone over all of that. You watch that, you take a couple notes, it's that easy. Well, you can't take notes if you can't write or read, though. So, maybe you should learn how to write. Maybe you should learn how to read. Actually, no, you should know how to read. It's current year. You have no excuse if you live in any first world country.
Our baby boomer parents were correct. We already know abusive.
You are not spending like 3 hours a day going to like the well and back just to get like 3 gallons of water for the day.
Narcissistic parenting ain't the right way to raise a child. But from what we see here, it seems like the literal exact opposite of that isn't the answer either. But why?
Permissive parenting means letting your kids walk all over you. It's exactly what it sounds like. Basically, they have a little gremlin that they always say yes to. The gremlin can throw all these tantrums and they'll never...
And then every single time, literally every single, like, every single parenting, like, book, every single parenting trick said, never do that. If your kid is throwing a fit over something stupid, you don't give into it. That's also, like, one of the core principles of Super Nanny 2, man. Literally, your kid's being a little shit-ass, don't give into them.
Correct them, and in fact give into them, further teaching that kid to continue being a little gremlin. So, now that I've explained that, that sounds a lot like what most people accidentally call gentle parenting. That's what permissive parenting is.
There is a reason why.
You see, if I had a kid, and he knocked, like, the cup like that, I would force him to clean it up. Otherwise, he would not be able to do anything. Go outside? No. Play video games? No. Talk to his friends? No. You have to stay inside. You have to sit in this very specific chair unless you are willing to clean it up. Knobhead.
Gentle parenting gets such a bad rep. And it's because that majority of people are under the impression that gentle parenting means that we just let our children run amok.
Well, to be fair, permissive parenting doesn't have, like, the same buzz to it in comparison to gentle parenting. That's just what it really, like, devolves to. Gentle parenting just rolls off the tongue better instead of permissive. There's a lot more syllables in permissive in comparison to gentle.
Do whatever the fuck they want, and we just sit back and say, yeah.
Even though there's only just one more syllable. But it doesn't roll off the tongue as nicely.
Yeah, your feelings are valid, and you're safe, and it's okay. Gentle parenting just means that we're not hitting them.
Kids do not think like adults, hence why trying to assume they already grasp adult concepts like responsibility, restraint, or empathy is stupid. You have to...
Yeah, so a funny thing about that, actually, it was like only until, what was it? I think it was like around the 1800s? No, maybe it was like the 50, no, what was it? No, I think it was around the 1800s, I believe, where children were actually seen as adults. No, not the 1800s, actually. It was the 1600s. That's because it's like 400 years ago. All right, anyways, 400 years ago, once a kid learned how to walk, read, and talk, or even just walk and talk, they were considered an adult. There wasn't really anything as a childhood. Once you could help out even a little bit when it came to daily responsibilities or jobs, you did. You were just seen as a tiny human, not a child. And then 400 years ago, people were like, maybe children are just stupid children. Maybe we shouldn't, like, game end them and, game end them for, like, stealing a loaf of bread when they're 9. Maybe they don't know the consequences of their actions. And that's right, they don't know the consequence of their actions. And then now you have current year where everyone's just like, oh my gosh, he doesn't know anything, he doesn't know any better. And then bro, like, stabs a guy after he lightly touches him. Okay. You see, we evolved from understanding that children are stupid to evolving backwards. And it'd be like, children can do no wrong. When they're under the age of 18, everything they do is A-okay. Everything. They don't know better. It's okay.
Teach those concepts. That's the job.
There's an extent, obviously. Obviously, murder and, like, a grand theft. or you know, just constantly like doing the same like crimes over and over again. You know, that should be self-explanatory.
Of being a parent, to teach them and ease them into the world. I have colleagues who used to be elementary school teachers, and they have to go through this program that reteaches their adult brain to remember what it's like to think like a kid in order to better communicate with kids, and it's really difficult. Like, having said that, my heart absolutely goes out to all the teachers who have to deal with awful parents who...
Yeah, the awful parents that don't ever teach their kids and then just believe that, you know, the teacher should be the ones teaching their kids. Like, no, your teacher's job is to like give them an education, and then they come back home and you're also supposed to kind of do that. If you really aren't prepared for that, just don't have kids, because that's mandatory in current year, whether you like it or not. And you can say it's unfair. You can say, oh, we didn't have to do that back in the day. Well, that's just the way things are. And it ain't gonna change anytime soon, man.
Basically treats schools like daycares. Y'all are already so overworked and underpaid, and now you gotta deal with the worst generation of illiterate goblin incarnations whose parents did nothing to teach them how to behave in society.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Did you say that my daughter is rude?
Yeah, I did. She gave me the finger.
Well, I wouldn't have done that if he wasn't being a slow asshole.
Are you serious?
Bruh. And you can already tell this child is like abused because look at her weight.
Whether she gave you the finger or not, then...
And of course it's unsurprising that the mother acts this way too, because this mother is abusive.
maybe you should have gotten out of her way.
Yeah.
She's not abusive in the way that she actually like hurts her child. She's abusive in the way that she basically always adheres to her and she overfeeds her. A healthy child would not be that fat unless the kid has diabetes. But of course though, that's a if scenario. We don't know. So we're under the idea that this is just the average child. Your child should not be that fat, and your child should not be literally giving the middle finger to a bunch of like adults around them.
So instead of telling Amelia, no, you don't treat people that way, she goes after the older man who's in a motorized cart.
Thankfully, it's not all parents, so for a brief palate cleanser, let's look at some good parenting, because Lord knows we're gonna need it as this video progresses.
With your PlayStation 5, how you picked my cat up and slammed it on the ground multiple times. Do it. Now pick it up and do it again. Wait a minute, hold on. Let me move this.
She's interacted with it to let people know this isn't AI generated.
Wait, baby, so you know it's real. I want you to raise it up on your tiptoes and slam that bitch as hard as you can, like you did.
Bro, and it's somebody stole the TikTok and reposted it too. I don't even know who the original person is. Is it Bless Me Please or possibly Naughty Seal?
Pick it up and do that again.
W parenting, W mom. I don't give a crap what the comments are saying. This kid threw a living...
I mean... Yeah. Like, the kid didn't buy that PS5. I feel bad for the parent because they're the ones that obviously bought that kid's PS5. But at the same time, though, bro was messing with an animal for no reason.
Animal like a piece of trash just because he was a little angry and he couldn't control his emotions. By the way, the mom bought the PS5. She's allowed to dictate what happens to it.
See, look, exactly. We're on the same spectrum.
It's an object at the end of the day. You should never physically discipline them by actually hitting them or abusing them, but making them break something they love and value will get the point across.
I don't know. I think there's like an extent. It really depends. Sometimes the kid deserves to have a smack. Whether that's on the face or on the butt. But sometimes it really depends. Like, honestly, for chucking the family cat or dog at the ground, yeah, that would deserve such a thing. But also having him destroy something that he loves and care for. Having him destroy it, that's also a good form of punishment. You know, just one's gonna basically ruin $400, or yeah, one's basically gonna ruin $400 worth of product that you just bought. If not, was it like 500, 600 now? And the other one's free.
Make grounding and this type of discipline normalized again. Discipline doesn't mean literally hitting your kid like most parents keep freaking out over. You can do adjacent behaviors that absolutely still get the message across. This kid values his PS5, but he failed to acknowledge the value of a living cat.
Now, should you hit your kid over eating like a cookie from the cookie jar when he wasn't supposed to? No. Maybe you slap his hand at worst, but no. Yeah, just like make sure you just get rid of like something he really likes to do for like a day or a couple hours or something, or you force him to do a homework.
So the best way to make him draw a parallel is to take something he values and have him destroy it to make him realize, oh, okay, I must have done something really bad then. I get it. And it's better he learns this now. Like, this is something he will remember, and some people were commenting that this is a core memory that will probably help him develop into a better human later on in life, because we see what happens if people don't learn to value the life of living animals or even other living people if they're never taught that value. Chapter 2, the results and societal consequences of permissive parenting.
Bro. I can't, how did it, what? I can't believe he was even allowed to show that. Oh, no way. This is like, oh, no, that's a dummy. Okay.
Parenting.
I'm pretty, yeah, that's obviously, no, that's just a dummy. That's not even real. I was too caught up in, like, I was too caught up in I was too caught up in the imagination to then realize this is obviously just a demonstration for, you know, checking both ways before you cross a road. Like, there's obviously no car.
If you don't gradually introduce them how dangerous the real world is, they're gonna think they're invincible. A parent who fails to discipline their kid in any way, verbally with words, spatially by just grounding them, or objectively by just showing them demonstrations like the one above. It doesn't have to be physical discipline. There are so many other kinds. But if you never ever get in the way of anything they want in life, you will raise a kid who thinks they're an invincible main character. And that's why we have all these copy-paste, broccoli-haired Jack Dohertys running around, because they had permissive parents who never, ever disciplined their kid, or even worse, whenever their kid wanted something from another kid.
You're also forgetting to mention, well, actually, no. I was gonna say, you're kind of forgetting to mention Rice Gum, but then at the same time, though, Rice Gum told his mother how much he, like, paid for stuff, and then she immediately was, like, badgering him. Which was really funny. That guy, he just turned out that way because he's just malicious.
They would argue against the other parent to make their kid concede that item.
And you're sitting next to me and my family, and your kids are playing with other toys. My kids are instructed to go over there and grab toys so they could play as well. They do not need to ask for permission.
And that is so disgusting because it makes their little gremlin really narcissistic. Like, I can throw a tantrum and make the world bend around me. Everything's meant to be played with by me. It's a giant sandbox. This isn't like even hyperbole. They grow up to become like this. We have multiple examples of people like this loser prankster or mini loser pranksters. But we'll take a look at this one first. We'll take it bit by bit throughout this video.
He did with the kid about my tweet. No. He did with the kid about my tweet. Get on my business, house stuff. Stop. He did with the kid about my tweet. Stop.
This is food delivery.
So this prankster, you know, he ended up getting the face of this guy, and this guy acted in self-defense because he's outnumbered, he's scared, he has a camera in his face, and this is something parents need to realize. If you neglect to discipline your child, society will do it tenfold. And society doesn't have the guide rails that parenthood has, meaning that it was your job to make sure that these kids understood the proper danger of things they can't control. These are things that must be taught to them. Pranksters are some of the biggest cases of failed parenting, since the only way someone can do this is through complete permissive behavior. There's no way they had parents who had a spine. Like, each day,
yeah, and also we have like a bunch of YouTubers too that also made people believe that pranking content was cool. That was like the content to do for years. And well, the issue is with like all those quote unquote pranks is that those weren't even like most of those weren't real. Those were just fake. But because people believe they were real, they're like, oh, you know what? Dude, if I made content like this, I'd blow up just like Joey Salads. That'd be so cool. I should piss in my mouth, just like Joey Salads. That'd be so cool. They get
bolder and bolder, whether it's fake injections on people in public that lead to jail time, deserved, by the way.
Prank has got a French influencer in jail. Amin Mojito's video.
Yeah, deservedly so. You're making people believe you just inject something into them. That'd be no different than somebody getting arrested for like chucking milkshakes in front of people's faces and being like, "God, this is prank content." And then you remember. Well, no, you don't just remember. If you get a milkshake splashed in your face, you're not thinking like, "Oh, why would someone do that?" You're like, "Oh shit, was acid in there? Was concrete in there? Am I okay? Is my face melting?" You're gonna have that panic for like 3 or 4 seconds because there's way too many stories of such a thing happening, especially in European areas, where milkshaking was a very, very popular form of attack.
Video showed him pretending to stab random people with syringes. It went viral just days before an outbreak of needle attacks at a French music festival, and even though the syringes were empty, a lawyer said it caused real fear for the people in the video.
Of course it would. Because you don't know there's nothing in there. You believe it's real. And now you've like traumatized somebody. Now you're gonna have to be constantly looking over your back because, you know, maybe there is gonna be somebody that comes around with our actual needle filled with stuff and they're gonna inject it into you.
Harassing people in public is L behavior, and I hate that there's a whole genre of this on TikTok. For instance, all these losers who somehow have the time to gather in like groups of 20 to raid local businesses and mess with hardworking employees.
Go ahead and bring in the guys. What is going on? No,
you guys need to leave.
I hate to say it is actually kind of funny. It is kind of funny for this one, but it's also just like so terrible. But you have to say it's just funny, like the absurdity of like of at least like 10 plus different people agreeing to do this, whether or not they're paid.
These are my workers. No, these are my workers. These are my workers.
Oh, this is.
And the shitty thing is though is that they are now interrupting like the actual customers that are, you know, trying to get just some food and leave or enjoy their food. Now they're unwillingly a part of a prank. They're unwillingly a part of like something that's gonna like ruin their mood or just annoy them.
This is the TikTok guy actually. His name is. This is his TikTok.
The TikTok account at TerraClout is owned by 24-year-old Heston James Cobb. On both TikTok and Instagram, Heston gained a following by pranking employees at recognizable stores, including Target, Michaels.
People
9 years in jail.
Who are already stressed enough in this economy, who now have to deal with all this prankster BS, while also even double taking at the chicken they're buying at the grocery store, wondering if it's been poisoned.
But that's also the thing too, because I found it funny, doesn't mean I plan to like actually perform such a thing, but there are plenty of people that find those pranks like that funny. And then they would also want in turn to do it because it's funny to them, so it's going to be funny for a lot of other people. And then the cycle continues forever and ever of people think it's funny. People do the funny. People get arrested because it actually isn't that funny. You know, once they really think about how like they're messing with the lives of several employees and customers and possibly the corporation / business there.
By some clout goblin.
Smith is now facing multiple charges, including a felony for messing with produce at a Walmart in Mesa Thursday. Court docs say Smith stole from the same store, then sprayed it all over fruits, vegetables, and
yeah, that's not even a prank. That's just a guy trying to like just give people illnesses.
rotisserie chickens as part of a prank.
I can honestly.
That's not a prank. If you actually believe that a prank, you're a retard. You have such a low IQ that you shouldn't even be called human. It's bug spray. It kills bugs, and you think it's okay to have a little bit on food? No.
Make a whole video about the TikTok crime epidemic, so I'm just gonna save that for a future topic later. That's not a finalized name for it, but we'll get to it when we get to it. But if you want to watch that video and other videos, then subscribe for more epidemic slop and like.
Oh my gosh, you should also subscribe to
this
me.
Video. If you were enjoying it so far, you don't hate them. It's their parents who failed them. Anyways, on to chapter 3, neglect.
And it's not like she didn't know. She even had that clip.
Yo, it's our favorite Redditor. What's up?
She's like, it's all right. I can just abort the child. Not gonna hurt me. Evil mindset. Like what? She couldn't stop herself from smoking and drinking while pregnant. She did have the child, and this September he will be 3 years old. He still cannot walk or talk, and it seems like also has a hard time just sitting up on his own without assistance supporting him. It is heartbreaking. It is actually heartbreaking.
Yeah, that is disgusting. You can already tell that there's just like something off about the child too. Like his arms have no muscle, his legs have no muscle. They're like twigs. Like if you are caught like smoking an obtuse amount of cigarettes and drinking an obtuse amount of liquor while pregnant, or it can be proven, you should be in prison for child abuse.
And I don't know why what she's done isn't just full-blown child abuse. Like I don't know how that's not just a crime. Like it's all just right out there.
Well, it should be, but it just it's just crazy. That's not
in the open. Like it's not a secret. People extremely close to her.
It's not. Nah, it didn't even make any sense. I guess it's like technically not a crime in the way that you would find it so absurd that anybody would do it, that you'd feel like you wouldn't have to make a rule for it. But, now, I don't know. I guess this is the case. That should be the moment where, you know, the person should get arrested, and there should be a precedent that, you know, that is a case of, CA.
Have just point blank said that she has smoked and drank throughout her pregnancy. They've said it a couple of times. It's just so unhinged.
Yeah, you can also tell by her, like, teeth and all the tattoos that she's not a good mother either.
And now, where she's now denying that her child has a disability and says that, you know, the doctors are wrong, the doctors don't know, which to me says that she's not even willing to get this child the assistance that he is likely going to need going forward.
You could also perceive it as denial, but, you know, at the end of the day, it's just her being a shit parent.
He's developing at his own pace and hitting his milestones.
Yeah, she's not even smart enough to actually even critically think. She has to read a script on her phone. That's how low IQ this hoe is.
In his own timing. Every child is different, and I'm confident in his growth.
Every kid deserves a parent, but not every parent deserves a kid, and that has never been more apparent than ever, because there are a lot of parents who just completely treat their kids like property. I despise parents who...
Beauty pageants. We still have beauty pageants where, you know, every single time in every single beauty pageant in every single film, TV show, whatever, the kids don't actually want to attend the beauty pageant. They go to the beauty pageant, they get like second place. They're like bawling, they're in tears because they're not the prettiest child in the room, even though their parents told them they are, but a bunch of strangers don't agree and all that, and now they're gonna forever believe that they're ugly just because of that one beauty pageant they didn't win.
Don't let others criticize their parenting habits because it's my kid, so I tell them what to do, not you. Because that treats your kid like a non-living object instead of the autonomous human being they are.
He's gonna have a kid. We're gonna raise it.
Bro, you should not have a kid. You have not only nose ring theory, but bro, you have like, that is the ugliest nose ring I could have ever imagined. It's just a bottle cap. And you really thought that'd be hip and cool to wear? Yeah, there's either gonna be there's gonna be two things that happen. Either your kid's gonna hate you when growing up, unless you spoil the shit out of them. If you spoil the shit out of them, they're gonna turn out into a spoiled little rotten chud.
In Vietnam for the first 4 years.
What? He won't be there?
Neither of us will.
What?
Visit.
What? What? You won't be in the kid's life for the first 4 years?
They're not gonna remember. They're not gonna remember. But
no, they are, because just because you only technically form or remember memories when you're 3 years old doesn't mean that you have like subconscious memories. Subconsciously, they aren't gonna feel like you're their mother because you weren't there for 4 years. You fucking idiot.
Caleb, you know,
you absolute buffoon, you imbecile.
his family's gonna raise it, you know, in Vietnam. It. So we can send it to school.
Kid's gonna miss his grandparents, her grandparents. A
They
little
can
baby that
visit.
doesn't have memories still cries for their mother.
Okay, but get over it.
It's a child who can't get over it. That's the whole gimmick. They only have the id and the ego. They don't even have the super ego to keep in control yet. They didn't develop that. They only got 25% of the brain when they come out of your womb, you fool.
And you realize how disgusting this phrase is from this horrendous mother. Oh, it's...
Please just get a dog or a cat. No, they don't even deserve the privilege of that, because they probably mistreat it too.
My kid. You can't tell me what to do with my kid. It's mine. You're the child's mother, but the child is still...
It's my kid, but these people will also be like, well, my body, my choice. Okay, well, but what about the kids? If you have a kid, it's your kid, but if you also don't want to have another kid, and you get pregnant, well, actually, you know, my body, my choice. Well, which is it? Does the kid have autonomy, or does the kid not have autonomy? When is the creature inside your stomach, your womb, considered a creature? Because we can't go to the clump of cells argument, because the clump of cells argument, we're all just a clump of cells. Your argument stands, no grounds under that. You buffoon.
Still a child. Someday they will grow up to be an adult, and their life will be their own. There's a whole arc of this in My Hero Academia where literally the main character, Deku, tells someone he's going up against in a tournament, it's not your father's power, it's yours. In some dire cases, strangers absolutely can tell a parent what to do with their children, especially if what the parent is doing is neglecting the child. Even more so if it's not a random stranger, but a licensed doctor looking for the developmental health of the child.
My mom was the type of mom who might ignore all your medical issues until it was too late, and it was disgusting. Like, that happened to me a lot growing up. So
They said that if Denver doesn't start chemotherapy, that he has a chance that he will definitely pass away. and I said it very loud and clear. I'm not starting chemotherapy.
I don't understand people who take their children to the doctor and then don't want to listen to that doctor. This woman's son is fighting.
Again, you know, because if they don't and the child is game ended, then they go to prison. But so the only conclusion to them is to take the child to prison and then just, I mean, take the child to prison. Take the child to the doctor, but then just, you know, disregard what they're saying because you're only there because you legally have to be, technically.
Leukemia,
and those same people also don't love the kids.
She is in a war with CPS because she refuses to allow her son to get the chemo treatment needed. Keep in mind, this chemo treatment, this regimen of chemo, has been around for decades and is so incredibly successful that it has lowered the death rate of leukemia by so much.
No, but she read Google article. She asked a robot once, and the robot told her no, so she pressed the robot like 2 or 3 more times, and the robot said, yeah, actually, you're right.
And if a doctor is telling you your son is going to die if you don't do this, and you don't listen, I understand wanting to go a more natural or less toxic route, but the moment your child's life is in question is the moment you need to listen to the doctors.
Unk's got a trauma dump here because this whole story reminds me of my own trauma that I already talked about in a 2024 cancer video, which I don't recommend watching that video, actually. This is gonna be one of the few times you're gonna hear a YouTuber ever.
You know, actually, also a little aside. Did anybody else, when you got, like, the flu vaccine, did you almost always get the flu that year? And always vomit? Dude, I swear to you, every single time I got, like, the flu vaccination, I always had the flu that year, and I always vomited. And then, like, the one year that I didn't get it, never felt the symptoms of the flu. If I did have it, it was not that bad. It was crazy. Maybe I'm just built different.
Like, not to watch a video. I don't hate my parents.
Dude, I actually have a core memory of, like, me drinking a grape Fanta. And then, like, I could actually, as I was, like, drinking the grape Fanta, I could feel it, like, churning in my stomach. I could feel the liquid turn into a solid. And then I like knew, and then like 10 or 20 minutes later, you know, I knew it was coming up, and it came up.
Learn to forgive them, but I will never truly love them because.
And then I sat vomiting at the toilet. And I was like, "You gave me the flu," because she had it first somehow.
My parents were science deniers.
Not me,
as well.
the kid
So
that goes to school.
Here, I grew up with precancerous Barrett's esophagus as a child. This is something that progresses very slowly and can be kept under control. There's no cure for precancer, unfortunately, for this type, but you can keep a kid well into, like, they can still live a full life if you just give them treatment, right? You act early on and don't let it progress to cancer. It's only 1% chance of progressing to cancer. You have to be extremely stupid to allow it to progress to the next stage. My parents were extremely stupid. Sure, they acted out of what they perceived was their best intention, but it came out of arrogance and narcissism against American doctors. They opted to use Asian pseudoscience and even brainwash and repeated to me, "You don't have a problem. We don't have any genetic defects in our lineage.
Yeah, listen, like, willpower only gets you so far. That matters a bit before you go into surgery. That matters a bit while you're sick, that you will get better. Because if you believe you ain't gonna get better, your body's gonna react that same way. But, you know, if you have an autoimmune disease, if you have cancer, yeah, believing it's not gonna, like, believing you don't have it, it's not gonna change anything. You're still gonna have it.
A clean bloodline. They actually said that word for word, not in English, in their native languages, but you get the point. Like, looking back, that's really cultish-like talking. That's why my heart weeps for children in this circumstance, because they're held prisoner to a jail of their parents' making, their parents' own science denial, their parents' own arrogance, narcissism. There's nothing I'll ever do to get mad at these children for the same reason I wouldn't be mad at myself. What was 7-year-old me supposed to do? Run away from home? And I had to just tough it out until I became an adult, and there's absolutely a world.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically child abuse, because the kid can't really run away.
Where some kids probably don't make it to adult.
And kids aren't going to be smart enough to call, like, higher authorities to help them.
If I could have literally just been murked, and my parents probably would have just chalked it up to something that still wasn't even their own fault, which is why I said I'll never love them. The stakes where they put their child's life on the line. Why have I avoided saying that up until now? That's why I hate this disgusting mother. It's not just their future. You are putting their life on the line in the present for every day, every week that passes.
No, but you don't understand. Their life isn't their life. It's only half of their life, because actually their life came from a man and a woman. So their life only is like, they really only have, I don't know, 10% autonomy, while the other like 45% goes to the mother and the father because they gave birth to them. That's how these people think. Probably. I'm certain I'm not far off.
When you don't get them treated for actual issues they have. Off. And yes, I know medical debt is expensive, but you're a parent. It's your responsibility, and you were supposed to be prepared for it when you brought a life into this world. Because guess who will shoulder the medical debt?
Like, to an extent. Obviously, if your kid has, like, autoimmune disease or cancer and it doesn't run in the family, that's not really that's not your fault. But, you know, when you have a kid, it is up to you, the parent, to be ready to take care of it to the best of your capabilities. Like, having some money already saved specifically for the kid in case they have an emergency. Like, kids are stupid. There was like times where my nephew, he like was sitting under the fridge while it was open, and he stood up as soon as it was getting like closed, and then he hit him he hit his head. It was fine, by the way, but still he hit his head, and everyone panicked because again you hit a kid's head by accident because bro was sitting underneath a fridge while it was open, and he just happened to stand up, or you know he like put sriracha in his eyes, or he drinks sriracha. And then he's like complaining and crying that now his like stomach and his mouth really hurts. Or again, also like having Gatorade. Or what's it called? Not just Gatorade. Having like Windex cleaner inside a Gatorade bottle, and then, you know, being like shocked and terrified that the child didn't know the difference between the Gatorade bottle in that one cabinet versus the Gatorade bottle that they could always grab.
Assuming they make it to adulthood, the kid will.
Again, kids are stupid. You know, it's up to you, the parent, to actually help them and lead them and teach them.
The kid will grow up to be an adult. It's always easier to stop at the beginning. Sorry if I'm raising my voice, but I always hear that dog shit ass excuse from some people. I know this country isn't perfect. I know there's systems that suck, but it will only suck more the longer you wait. That's how everyone talks about. So just tank the hit as the parent, because that was something you should have mentally prepared yourself for, being the parent. With all this science denial, next thing you know, some parents will disbelieve humans even need to breathe oxygen. So how dare you get their kids out of the water because they were not drowning, you bigot. It's my kid. I told them what to do. Oh wait, some parents actually do this? God damn it.
I don't know about you, but I still find it fascinating though that if the body actually has too much oxygen, we just cease to live. I don't know about you, I just think that's interesting more than anything.
A lifeguard was thrown in jail.
Because that's what we breathe in.
Saving a drowning.
Bro, he actually was thrown in jail? What?
5-year-old boy. All because the child.
No. Well, hold on. The stupid TikTok voice is countering with what's in the title. So who knows? Oh wait, we gotta wait for the video.
23-year-old Zachary Stein worked as a lifeguard at a water park. Without hesitation, he jumped into the pool, pulled Adam out, and performed emergency CPR, successfully reviving him. But just as people began praising Stein as a hero, Adam's parents arrived. Instead of thanking him, they called the police. Officers soon showed up and arrested Stein on charges of endangering a child.
What a great use of police time. I can't believe this is even going to court. This should have been a civil matter, if anything.
I'm gonna dial myself back. Sorry for sounding so heated earlier, but like, this is why I've been avoiding making this video topic, by the way. It's something I can't not get heated. This is my third try trying to record.
Well, I think it's fair for anybody to get heated, especially when it comes to kids, because, you know, they are going to outlive you. Period. If you are like 18 and anyone's under the age of 18, they are technically a kid in comparison to you. They are likely to outlive you. That's just how it goes. So yeah, who wouldn't be worried? Who wouldn't want to see the best for other people's kids? Especially because we all were kids and we all had our issues that we had to deal with, and we also don't want to see those same issues arise when we have every single tool that there is possible to avoid those same issues arriving.
Anyways, imagine your kid starts drowning and this mother gets the audacity at the people saving them because it's her child.
Take him to the beach. I understand, but when you're questioning why somebody else is holding your daughter, that means that you should have been there to
But literally, we were all paying attention to, like, I was literally just leaving
how can everybody be paying attention if an honest citizen that
What
don't
is
even know
going
you
on right now?
just-
Like, I don't understand what's going on. We're literally leaving right now.
In the beach.
With a 5-year-old brother, right?
What is going on?
He just explained it to you, but you're Cro-Magnon.
You left your daughter in the beach with a sibling that's 5 years old alone. I was already watching them. And she was drowning. Someone had to take her out of the water because she almost drowned and died. Do you understand that?
Maybe you should stop day drinking and supervise your freaking children. All these police body cam footage these days show off some of the most neglectful parents out there, and it has my...
And nowadays... Isn't that great, though? Like, a lot of times people were saying that police lay bad for all these years. Now we have body cams on practically every officer. I hope one day it actually is on every single officer, because almost every single time it always proves beyond a reasonable doubt that the officers are in the right.
my heart aching for the future of our youth. I hate that she yells, it's my kids, they're my kids. In this case, the lifeguard...
No, she wasn't even saying that. She was just going, I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand what's going on. And everyone's just like, ma'am, you left your kids alone. No, I didn't. Well, there seems to be a lot of witnesses saying otherwise, but go off, I guess.
Are doing their job in rescuing their kids from drowning in the water. I get that you can't have eyes 24/7 on your kid, and I get that accidents happen, so don't feel ashamed if a lifeguard is to save your own kid someday. Just don't yell at the lifeguard after they've done their job. And even worse, don't be day drinking at a bar several thousand feet away from the scene of the incident.
And so when her friend was stumbling drunk, these are her friend's shoes. She took her to the bathroom because she's throwing up, you know? So that's, I don't want you to think that she wasn't just not being a mom. Yeah.
The bartender comes out and tries defending her, saying she's not being a bad parent. I was watching her this whole time. She was actually...
I am so surprised. He sounds so fruity based upon how he looks.
She's busy helping her friend vomit in the restroom from all the day drinking. And bro, hard disagree. Can we stop permissive parenting, the permissive parents? The stakes could not be any higher. Her daughter almost drowned. I do not care about hurting her feelings. Maybe one drink, sure, especially if you know what you can handle, and at her age, she absolutely should know what she can handle. But if you're literally drinking till blackout drunk where you're vomiting, that's not responsible. They've already lost my sympathy as being the good parent here. The comments absolutely...
I mean, yeah, you know, you should know your limits. Like, if you have like 3 or 4, I think the average man can have like 3 or 4 beers and, you know, they're relatively fine. Like, fifth one and beyond, you're gonna have like some cognitive issues.
He roasted her by saying, repeating you're not a bad mom doesn't make you not a bad mom. And I'm glad everyone is siding with the stranger lady who actually saved a drowning daughter. You know, because drowning isn't something you can hesitate with, right? Kids' lungs only last seconds, maybe a minute, depending on their own individual training, especially when they're only 3 to 5 years old. The stranger isn't playing superhero. That lady was a hero. Meanwhile, the mom is obviously drunk, possibly even high, and she's looking after 3 to 5-year-olds. She claims it was her birthday, and the bartender and her friends are defending that parents deserve to have fun.
He's skipping around the video. I just love it, the screen capture. He's just skipping around the video too.
Right? They're on the beach and they should enjoy themselves. It's her birthday or whatever. You're allowed to have fun. Just have fun with your kids. Why are parents doing everything possible these days to avoid raising their kids or being near their kids? Like, they always need to take a break from their kids. You know, if you actually love your...
If you need a break from your kids, you didn't really want kids to begin with.
Kids and make them love you, you don't feel the need to always be away from them. At the very least, just be sober on the beach, right? Especially
like, you only get the reward of, you know, having your kids love you when you actually love them back and you take care of them properly. You know, there's plenty of people out there that are like 50 years old and they're like, I don't understand, why do my kids don't talk to me? Why don't they hang out with me? Well, I don't know, man. What'd you do? Oh, you know, I worked. I give them a good life. Oh, okay, so you just never hung out with them. Did you ever listen to them? Did you only ever talk about your job and how your job affected you? Did you have any hobbies outside your job? Did you do anything with your kids' hobbies? Did you interact with them? Like, there's a reason why many 2000s to like 2015 games have absent fathers. Actually, not even like then. It's like games till this day still, where there's just absent fathers. And, you know, almost everybody can kind of relate because the father was absent. Sure, you had like you had a roof, you had water, you had shelter, but you didn't have a family. You just had a mother. Maybe you had a sibling or 2, maybe 3. But, you know, when you're missing out on that full family structure, then it doesn't feel like a family to begin with.
When they're 3 to 5, I'm going to keep repeating that. So don't be like these parents who are completely oblivious to the dangers of the surrounding world and for some reason even try to control it, whether it's denying diseases, denying that their kid is drowning, or denying that they're in an active crossfire area with a SWAT team. Now, on the flip side, don't interpret this as me saying helicopter parent your kids forever and never let them go outside because the world is super, uber, duper...
See, that's exactly what my parents did, and that shit sucked. And then they still try and gaslight me to this day, like, no, that wasn't the case, that was just your papa. My father was never home. What do you mean? What do you mean? Oh, that's why you could go outside, because your father would be worried about you. What do you mean? I literally came home. I wasn't in the summer. I wasn't even allowed to go outside. When he wasn't home during the weekends either, man. He wouldn't have known if I was gone. Both of you were equally terrible.
Ultra dangerous, and they should never ever see anything.
You can't gaslight me. I literally couldn't go up the street without one of you, like, sprinting after me to get me to come back home because you were worried that a stranger was gonna get me. While I live in the middle of nowhere, where we have maybe 4,000 people here, and practically everybody knows each other.
No. There's a middle ground. Supervise your children and make sure they can safely experience the world on those.
I can't even remember the last time there was a car accident in my area. That's how safe it is, but even then though, no, can't do that. Can't do that. Late child might get hurt.
Guide rails have been mentioning this whole video.
Hey, the thing I know most about.
If you don't know what helicopter parenting is, it means constantly surveilling your kid and controlling major aspects of their life, like what they do after school, who they can hang out with, and not even buying them any form of autonomy, whether that's a skateboard, a bicycle, a scooter, and especially a car or motor.
You see, I kind of tried, I tried to learn how to like ride a bicycle, but the very issue is that nobody taught me how to like balance with it. I didn't have like, no one taught me how to balance. And like the only people that tried were like my friends, but I was like, what, 8, 9 when they were trying to teach me how to ride a bicycle. And at that point, I was already just kind of satisfied hanging out and playing video games because, well, that was the one thing I could always do without my family complaining and bitching about. So when they tried to like teach me and I was terrified, I didn't follow through with it, and I did not know how to ride a bicycle until I was like 22. Only then did I actually like try and figure it out, and I learned it within an hour. But that shouldn't have happened. Oh, you see, what should have happened is that my family should have gone out bike riding with me, and then they should have taken out my training wheels, and then they should have like tried to teach me how to actually balance myself on that. But they chose not to, because I wasn't allowed to go up the street without mommy and poppy being right by my side, because I might get hurt. I might get in trouble. Ooh.
Regardless of it.
I might not come home in I might not come home in dinner time.
There's some parents that don't want to give up control of their kid's life forever, even as their kid moves into early adulthood. Helicopter parenting has gotten so bad that there are moms who let their 11-year-old boy walk a few blocks outside on his own. This is not the bad mother in this instance. It's the Karen who called police on this mom and this kid.
They have now released body cam footage of the moment that a mother was arrested for letting her 10-year-old son walk less than a mile into town.
Turn it for me. Fine. You're under arrest.
Yeah, and it's also pretty shitty the police also arrested her. Like, this is partly why that people have issues with the police. This is exactly why people also don't want to have kids. Because you're supposed, for whatever reason, you're expected to constantly survey them too. No, that wasn't the norm. You know, it was just up to adults in the area to, you know, if they see a kid and they see something weird going down, it was up to them to investigate. But nowadays, everyone's just always out for themselves. And some people just make it their goal to just harass other people in any way, shape, or form they can because they're miserable. And this is the case of the miserable woman just messing with a parent that actually trusts their child to do normal child things.
For the incident we talked about earlier today.
On October 30th, Brittany Patterson took one of her sons to a doctor's appointment while her 10-year-old son, Soren, decided to walk into town from their home in Georgia.
What am I in?
Yeah, and that should have been normal. That should have been, and that is normal. 1990, that was normal, but nowadays, no, apparently not.
And how was I recklessly endangering my child?
But while she was out, she got a call from police saying that her son was walking outside alone, but she says she wasn't concerned because she grew up walking outside and exploring on her own, and she was raising her children the same way.
Yeah, if your area is that dangerous, how about you do a job of actually arresting the criminals, you fucking retarded cops?
Was arrested and booked on reckless conduct where they say she willingly and knowingly endangered the welfare of her son, and she could face up to a year in prison.
Anytime I checked, it wasn't illegal for a kid to walk to the store. It is when they're 10 years old. It is? Yes.
No, it's not. I rode a bike all the time at 10. Yeah, there's plenty of movies as well during the 80s, the 90s, even early 2000s, where that was shown to be the norm. Every single movie about the 80s or literally shows that like kids are just running around on skateboards like 5 miles away from their home. Do they get the police called on them? No. Is it because of the video game? No, because it was normal.
I'd like to see that on the books. Okay, well, you'll see it on your report.
And the police show up to arrest her. By the way, 11-year-old boy. He's not like 5 or 6 years old. These Karens are the same MS who...
Yeah, a 10-year-old kid has at least some form of knowledge and self-preservation.
probably complain about their own kids always being on their phones and never
In no
playing
stranger
outside.
danger.
Yet whenever they see other kids play outside, they call the police for a noise complaint or call other mothers irresponsible for letting their kid go way too far from their supervision. Complete hypocrites. To further prove my point, right? Cross country and track clubs are a thing. A lot of kids don't do it on the field at school all the time. Sometimes there's something going on with the field's under maintenance. So kids will actually run miles away from their home. Like I know people used to do 2-mile loops, even 3-mile loops. So 1.5 miles away from their home and then 1.5 miles back. They're like in 7th or 8th grade. That's not a horrendous thing to be doing. That's more than old enough to see the world outside of their house in their immediate vicinity. Like I get supervising your kids on the beach when they're still toddlers, like in the previous chapter, but by the time they're preteens, you should still supervise them, but you don't have to helicopter parent or even helicopter parent other parents' kids, because they might be part of some after school club where they have to partake in these activities. It's good for their health too. It's just good for their mental health too, not just physical health. They need to see the world around them, all right? These parents get zero right to get mad at their kids when they become adults.
Yeah, and you know what happens when you isolate them? They turn out to, you know, just have no idea how to interact with the rest of the world. They don't know how to communicate with their peers. A lot of times they're arrogant. A lot of times they're really, really stupid too. All just because they were left inside. They were forced to be inside.
And they're like, hey, how come you haven't gotten a girlfriend yet? Hey, how come you still play video games all the time? Hey, how come you don't go outside? What?
Literally my family, even though they pretty much forced my life to just be almost always indoors, and anytime I wasn't indoors, I was just performing a hobby that they wanted me to do. I never was interested in learning guitar. I was only interested in the way of learning guitar because I played Guitar Hero. And then they immediately were like, oh, you want to learn how to play guitar? And then that was way too difficult, or it was not just like way too difficult, it was just not fun to actually learn how to do it. I was not getting the dopamine hit of feel good from learning guitar. Even with the harmonica, I didn't get that. Cross country and track, I just kind of did it because, well, why did I do it? I think maybe I was also forced to that. I have no idea. Actually, no, I wasn't forced into it. I remember I did voluntarily do that because of my school. They give you like these like acrylic feet. I still have a whole bunch. They give you like acrylic feet. Just like these are really small, dumb little, I don't know, symbols of like thingies that you did. I can't even tell you what the different colors meant. All I can tell you though is that I got a lot of feet. Because I rocked around a lot. Now that felt worth it to me.
What do you mean? What do you never provided them with the means of gradually learning and experiencing things? Something equally annoying and unfortunately just as damaging to children's development is tiger parenting, also known as emotional damage. Chapter 4, compare, compare, compare.
What the hell? You say hard? Remember your cousin in China? Who, Timmy? He got 15 years work experience. He's 9. How's that even possible?
Now moving on from physical neglect, another really long-lasting type of parental negligence is emotional neglect. This does follow children deep into adulthood, and sometimes they never get over it. Being Asian, you already know most of this chapter.
Now, I don't know, well, I don't think I had that issue, but I always just compare myself to others. And I always just believe, dude, why the fuck am I not as good as them? I feel like I'm trying like 4 times as hard, yet they're like doing half the effort. They're doing like half the effort of the average person, and yet they're excelling like 8 times. Meanwhile, I'm trying 4 times, and I'm barely managing to reach like 0.9 the average person. And in comparison to skills, it always like piss me off.
Chapter is going to be dedicated to the toxic culture our parents raised us in. Memes aside, Asian parents are way too obsessed with grades, and they deduce their child's entire worth with GPA. I know this can happen with parents of any background, but it's definitely worth talking about in Asia because it's the worst there. We have stats to back it up. Let's not turn this into competition. Trust me, you don't want to be number 1.
Well, Korea's also entire gimmick is Korea just also kind of sucks, because if you don't get like high enough grades in Korea specifically, you just don't have a good life. Like if you are not like the 1% of excelling students, then you just never have a good life, because everything is dictated by how high your grades are in Korea. Now, that's why there's a bunch of games that come from it that are like that are grind slop, where you just have like 8 trillion things to do, and it's just it's just a shit ton of busy work that's boring and mundane to I don't know, someone like me that likes even a Resident Evil Berserker mod. But to them, because reality over there sucks so much, they'd much rather play a game where it actually feels like you're getting rewarded for doing that mundane shit. Quite literally, look at Black Desert Online. Look at Crimson Desert. Look at the average gacha game. It's literally just a grind slop, but you get like feel good. I mean, it's also why like Genshin Impact's so popular, because there's just so much like garbage grind, like garbage to do beyond the core gameplay that adds really nothing to the main game, but that's just more fun than living in reality. Especially in Korea.
Do you remember what your high school schedule was like? Let's compare it to the average Korean student. They wake up.
Also in Japan, because the Japan work ethic is terrible. If you think jobs in America are terrible, just imagine working like 20 hours of overtime a week and never getting paid for it. That's just what it's like to live in Japan, and that's expected of you. It's also expected of you to go out to drink with your boss, because there's the big theory that if you never drink with your boss, that you'll never get a promotion. Also expected with you to go drinking almost every single night with your homies. So even though everything's supposedly cheap over there, well, now you're spending all this money, just so that way you can get a promotion or you can hang out with quote-unquote friends.
At 6:30 a.m. Get to school by 7:30. They go to school till about.
And if you don't, you get stigmatized. You get excluded. People look at you funny in the workplace. At least in Japan. It's probably, I would not be surprised if it's the same in Korea.
4 p.m. Then they rush home for a quick bite and then have private lessons from 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. at what they call a hagwon, which is like a tutoring, like a after-school program. Then they go back to school, do a study session until about 11 p.m. And then when you go home, you have to study till around 2 a.m. and then wake up at 6:30 a.m. to do it all over again. It is very common in South Korea for students to spend on average 16 hours a day studying. 16. That leaves 8 hours to shower, eat, rest, sleep, socialize, and even just transportation to get from one place to another. That takes a lot of time. Korean parents spent nearly $18 billion on tutoring and specialized entrance exam classes in 1 year. $18 billion.
In 1979, 6% of Korean students attended hagwons. By 2008, it was 75%. So in 2009, Seoul tried a 10 p.m. curfew. Hagwons adapted. Some recategorized as self-study libraries. Some put kids on chartered buses and taught lessons while driving on the motorway.
You do not want to be number one at this. If you hate 7 hours of school, imagine having 13 hours of school. Like having an after school. And the reason it's 3 phases.
Yeah, and then we have all this education for a bunch of shit that you'll never actually use in reality. I still have yet to use one single thing about trigonometry in my real life, day-to-day life. I actually haven't even used geometry in my day-to-day life. The most I've ever used is algebra. I think that should be extent of what you learn until and then you figure out what you want to do in life. And then when you figure out what you want to do in life, then you actually adhere those classes to what you want to do. Of course, that's not the way things are. And that's exactly why I'm one of the people that says we should just defund schools, just completely get rid of the system, start anew, because the current system sucks ass.
Schooling is because you have the regular school and then an after school.
I believe that school was almost entirely a waste of time. I learned algebra, I learned English. I think being very proficient in English is good, because you understand the differences and the subtleties of like words that are like synonyms and similar to each other. But beyond algebra for like math, I've not used any of those skills beyond algebra.
For the regular school, but because the after schools after the regular school are becoming so prestigious, they now have.
I can proudly state I'm one of the very few Gen Z that can do math in my head.
Wait list where there are after schools for those after schools.
Today, in South Korea, where 69% of young adults hold degrees, cram schools are so competitive that subsidiary cram schools now exist solely to coach students into more prestigious cram schools. Cram schools for cram schools.
These parents have never heard of the concept of diminishing returns. You can't just keep throwing more at something expecting quantifiably more gains. Like there comes a point where throwing more at something actually gets less gains.
No, you don't understand. It will work eventually. You just gotta keep putting more money into it. Throw more money. That fixes everything. Just keep trying. Put more time and work and effort into it. Surely that will get you the results you're looking for. That's exactly why Japan has like that's why Japan's only 0.8 times proficient as like the average American worker.
There's such thing as kids getting tired, getting overworked, getting overstudied. The human brain hasn't changed that much in 10,000 years. There are literal studies showing when people stop focusing and paying attention to things.
No, but you don't get it. Those studies, they're retarded. We can't listen to those.
PhD aside, a perfectly healthy human brain isn't designed to focus for 12 to 13 hours a day. That's stupid, especially when they're a kid and they want to explore the world around them and play. Sure, these countries perform at the top for academics, but guess what else they're at the top for? Yep, highest rate of murking themselves. Oh, also, lowest replacement rate. They're not making future kids, so their society won't even exist. Is that worth being proud of for being #1 in academics? What's the point of having all these smart people when it doesn't mean anything in a few decades? In this particular case,
I mean, they're smart education-wise, but that doesn't really mean anything. You can be the most educated person on the planet, and then you can also be a retard not knowing that you should look both ways while you cross the road. There's a difference between being like street smart and academic smart, and just because you're academic smart doesn't mean you're like street smart. And it's good, and it's very important you have a good balance of those two. Because having just one or the other, you're gonna be a retard out of the way.
Leads to a phenomenon known as elite overproduction.
Calls the mechanism elite overproduction. More people train for elite roles than roles that exist.
What this means is that there are more kids than ever with degrees from elite institutions, from all these elite schools and elite after schools, from all the studying they did. We're not talking a few too many kids, by the way. We're talking multiple millions of them who are elitely.
And then when everybody's smart, nobody is.
Overproduced.
Elite overproduction led to breakdown, not reforms. Brian Kaplan, an American economist, estimates 80% of education's return comes from signaling, not actual skills, which means the system doesn't fail when someone like Ellen Tara James Penny sleeps in her Volvo with $140,000 in debt. That's the system working exactly as designed. China produced 1 million college graduates in 1997. By 2025, it produced 12.22 million. That increase over just the past decade, 4.6 million people, is larger than the entire annual graduating class of the United States.
But guess what? Companies didn't magically gain several millions of job openings for the multiple millions of graduates and degrees that just got handed out. Therefore, a lot of these kids actually end up without a job, no money, and either move back in with parents or end up stressed out of their mind in the middle of the city, going broke, working themselves to the bone like a dog on years on end, which is why they don't have time to marry someone and make more kids, and their country and politicians have the audacity to complain about. And then you get to the extreme end where some of them just can't take it anymore and end it all. And again, we have statistics to back all.
I mean, there's also those people that, well, you know, they fail and they can't take it, or those people they get what they succeed. They supposedly succeed. They did everything they were told to do, but yet they're still not successful. They're still stuck at the entry-level job for years. And they're still being hounded by their boss over and over again for not being good enough. Even though, by all means, by all metrics, they should have been more than good enough to succeed. That's also why those people are game-ending themselves. Because they did everything they were told to, they did everything they were supposed to, and still life is telling them you did not do good enough.
Pull this up. This is a cycle that
yeah, who wouldn't want to give up if you had to face that reality?
Repeats as an entirely new generation of parents and politicians who continue to point to the oversaturated, overwalked path, and then rushes their kids down that same exact fate. And wow, that sounds similar to something that's happening in the West, except it's way, way more dystopian. It's worth talking about this to my American viewers because it can show the future that we ourselves could be heading.
I don't know. I feel like it's almost equally. It's just different. Equally dystopian.
If we have this dumb ideology surrounding academics. For some parents, academics is the sole measurement of their kids' whole life, despite it not even contributing that much to their adulthood. There, I said it. Yeah, I know. There's these memes of people being like, oh, the only people who say that are these people. But it's like, laugh all you want, but a lot of CEOs don't have degrees. I'm not saying to become some sort of crypto rug puller wannabe entrepreneur.
Yeah, I do think it's really funny, though. What I find hilarious is when my pops is just like, oh, well, this guy's a college degree, he knows more than you. And then I'm just like, are you sure? Are you sure? Listen, I don't have a college degree, but I can tell you, though, we need more than 4 gigabytes of RAM on our work computer, you fucking imbecile. You absolute buffoon, you moron.
There is something way more than just school. There's so many other paths, even just being a drilling.
You don't need to go to college to understand what a computer needs and doesn't need. The only thing that you really need for college that I can think of is anything revolving around diseases and treating the diseases, like nurses, doctors, surgeons. Biology, scientists, those are things that actually make sense to have a degree that you need to have a higher education for. You really don't need a degree when it comes to computers because there's plenty of websites, there's plenty of other people, there's just plenty of information online already telling me how you know, what makes a computer run good, what parts work good with the computer, what parts don't, yada yada.
Engineer can make $250,000 a year. Being an HVAC dude of air conditioning can make 6 figures these days.
Yeah, I've heard that working on an oil rig though, that's his ass, because if you have family, you never see them. So you kind of need to be solo leveling if you want to be an oil rigger. I don't know, HVAC project manager, I don't know what that is. Thermal,
Blue collar and trades are such a huge shortage. And that's the exact polar opposite result of trade underproduction, elite overproduction. Wow, what a shocker. A whole generation of parents, actually 2 whole generations of parents, boomers and Gen Xers, told all their millennial and Gen Z kids to rush towards the university. It's like trying to fit a giant square cube into a tiny circular hole and then being shocked.
And I was one of the smart ones that did not rush to get a college degree. Now, well, there was plenty of jobs that, you know, that only really accept people with high school degrees, because if you have a college one, oh, you're overqualified. Oh, you have a college degree? Okay, do you have 5 years of experience? No? What do you mean you weren't an unpaid intern for 5 years? You fucking idiot. Get the fuck out of here. No one wants you. Come back when you got some experience for this entry-level college job.
That's why the square cube is not going in. We've learned how to play with these toys since we are 5 years old. Why are politicians still not grasping the same metaphorical concept with this elite overproduction?
Because they're all old, man. They don't have to live with the current system. They just believe that the current system is like their system from 50 years ago.
There were books written about this, warning
it's
about
really
this
that
happening
simple.
in the West too, and we're still seeing it happen slowly here. Like I said, super fast in Asia due to how much larger the population is in countries like China, or how many decades it's been persisting in countries like Korea. But it's gonna happen to the US in a few more. I was gonna say a few more decades, but actually it might happen before this decade ends, because AI is rapidly advancing the uselessness of degrees. Right? All these tiger parents are doing are raising A students to follow the orders of C student CEO.
I don't know about that one. I think more than anything, from what I've heard, is that the AI just exists, and then, you know, it actually is shit. It ruins the company, but the company has an excuse to fire a whole bunch of people and then rehire them for lower wages. That's the main thing I've been hearing. AI is not as good as everyone makes out to be. It just gives companies an excuse to fire people and then rehire them for the same price. Or no, for a lesser price than what they were being paid before.
Ceiling exists for a reason. These kids can't talk worth a damn. They can't politic worth a...
A term that describes the invisible systematic barriers stopping Asian Americans and Asian professionals from reaching upper management. Why don't we just call it the glass ceiling then? What's the difference between... What's the difference between the bamboo ceiling and the glass ceiling? Why are there 2 different phrases for the same thing? Okay, I guess it's... I don't know. It was coined in 2005. I'm pretty sure glass ceiling came before then.
Damn, they can't actually socialize or get connections or do anything other than just follow orders. Academics don't teach...
Yep, and then those orders are just, well, their bosses just shout out that they're not good enough anyway, even though they did everything right. Well, I think that was alright. You know, that was decent. It turned out differently. The rest of the video turned out differently than I was expecting, but I had a good time. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on Bladed Agent's channel. The link in the description. You should like, comment, and subscribe on my videos too. Why aren't you already? I'll see you Vamp Cows next time. I feast upon my next victim. Well, Vermire does.